Blog Talk Radio.
Live from Washington, D.C., it's Quintessential Listening, Poetry Online Radio. QLPOR, as it's widely known, features a bevy of poets, spoken word artists, and live poetry readings with best-selling authors. Your host is Dr. Michael Anthony Ingram.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the program. Today, I have a very special guest. Her name is Alexandra P., and she'll share the rest of that. She hails from Greece, and she's an internationally recognized poet and author. I've wanted to have her on my show for such a long time, and I'm glad that she's with me. She's going to share some poems, but unfortunately, we don't have the visuals to go along with it. So imagine. What's your privilege your imagination cap today? Alexandra, welcome to the program.
Hello, thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Very, very, very nice. Very nice. And you're in Greece. Wow.
Yep.
Tell me.
Yeah.
What city in Greece?
Sorry. Well, I live where I'm by the sea. I'm not a city person.
Okay. By the sea.
So close to the Temple of Poseidon. Kind of there, along the coastal road.
All right.
I might have been around 2,000 years ago as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow! And the sea is the Mediterranean Sea.
It's the Psaropoulou, which is adjacent to the Aegean. It's part of the Aegean Sea.
The Aegean Sea. Wow, that's fantastic.
Which is part of the Mediterranean, yeah.
Okay. Well, I love meeting people from different places around the world. And again, I am so happy that you're here. Let's begin this poetic journey. All right?
Yep. What
is poetry?
Well, for me, poetry is energy. Mostly it's energy. It's the initial spark of inspiration, then propels my whole being into higher dimensions of energy. But at the same time, it requires quite a lot of, for me, it requires quite a lot of research into past knowledge, just generally a research into knowledge. It could be about priestesses in ancient Greek or gods, or just a lot of esoteric research together with linguistic research, because I think in Greek as well as in English before I write the poem. So it's an energy which is combined to the well-researched subjects that as well as the linguistic research. It all comes together. And then in the end, I add the designs. So it's not just something that I write on my knee for, in one afternoon. Mm-hmm. It's my poems are long and with alliteration, and they have a lot of, let's say, mystical or cryptic meanings that refer to past myths and esotericism, and generally spiritual, let's say, aspirations. So it's energy. It all starts with an energy that propels my inner being into further realms of knowledge, and it's a combination of how I'm going to combine that initial primary energy with the research, with the words the linguistic research on the words, and with the designs. It's all that. One of my poems is all that, and it's a lot of work.
It sounds like it's a lot of work. Wow. I got to ask this question. Where does this energy come from? Is it like a ball of energy just somewhere and you find it? Or, I mean, how does it materialize?
Well, it could be from something that happened at that point in my life, an inner, let's say, spark of happiness or unhappiness.
Right.
And then there's a lot, and then so an emotion, let's say. It could also be from something I read from another poet, usually Greek, because I usually only read Greek poets, including my father.
Oh, wow. Very nice.
And so it could be anything from that I read in a book. I read a lot of books, and I'm kind of scholarly in that way. And
it sounds like
it could be, it could be any of those. So it could be an occurrence in my own life, or it could be something from that I read, and generally it just then there's a surge of energy that kind of goes through me. But then I also didn't add that while I'm creating the poem and the designs, I'm listening to quite a lot of loud Greek music and swirling around the room. So it's kind of like a process that involves a lot of different, let's say, aspects. So it's inspiration and dancing and music and linguistic and esoteric research. It's all that in one poem. Yeah.
It sounds also like it might be quite draining.
Oh,
Correct
no,
me if I'm
it's
wrong.
not draining. No,
It's not draining at all?
Okay.
Okay.
On the contrary, it's enlightening, and it's I actually gain a lot of knowledge from everything that I'm reading and processing, and then I process everything through myself. There's no plagiarism. I just process everything myself. It could be physically draining, and sometimes if I've been at it for many hours, my brain is like, okay, I've had enough. But but on another level, it's really rewarding. I find it very, very rewarding because it leads me down through all sorts of new knowledge that I never had, whether it's a personal spiritual epiphany or just a word, a linguistic word that I just had never thought of or heard of in Greek or in English, because I'm totally bilingual. So I'm kind of juggling two languages while I write.
I don't know. Visualize, those whirling dervishes in Istanbul.
That's me when I'm writing.
Really?
And then there's also a bit of clapping. There's a bit of clapping and zorba opas, when I get really excited. That's why I've been thrown out of workshops.
Who would have thought that I would have?
I mean, who wants me in their workshop?
Yeah. Well, that means that you live before they throw you out, that you've left them with something that they will remember.
Well, it was me in combination with my designs, and I was showing them the designs, and I was very excited. And they kind of politely said, I don't think it's the kind of thing that, we want in our workshop.
How did you feel when they said that?
Oh, I was kind of relieved because I just went there because I was, asked to go, but I don't work well in groups. I cannot create in groups with other people. I can only create when I'm alone, and throw everyone out of the house, and so.
Okay. Oh, well, why do you believe that poetry is important? Why is it important that we do what we do as poets?
Well, apart from the fact that poets have this inner calling, and they just keep trudging on or flying on, whatever. But apart from the fact that this is what they just love to do, poetry is like, let's say, the tip of all writings. It takes the essence, and then it's like the blossoming of all writings, because it kind of propels the human soul towards higher evolution. And what I have done with my poems, just like some people like Leonard Cohen and Bob Dylan have combined them to music, I have innately, it wasn't a conscious decision, always combined them to visuals. So in the beginning, it was always olive oil pastings. Sorry, it was olive paints, oil paints, let's say.
Oil paints, all right.
Yeah, and I would use oil paintings, small ones, and there would be many of them, to visualize the stanzas, and then they would become part of the book. But later on, I switched to graphic designing. I did a quick course here in Greece, and I found it was much easier to illustrate the poem through the Adobe programs. Thank you, Adobe. Yeah, it was much easier, much faster, and far less messy, because the attic of my house was just covered in paint. Yeah, of course. So I was initially a painter, and then I became a graphic designer, and I really love the things that I can do with Adobe, but it's always me guiding the boat. It's not AI where I feed a few words and then the AI produces images. It's I have developed my own style over the years, since 2000. So I started graphic designing in the year 2000, and I have been developing my own style since then, really seen elsewhere, and that's how I combine my poems to the visuals, because I had the original idea of like a magazine. I thought, okay, academic people who love poetry will read books and poems, but I wanted to get these poems across to a wider audience. And I know that people are very busy and they're running around trying to survive. And so I originally had the idea of a magazine where we flip through the photos and the images, and then there's some captions at the bottom. So I thought, it was always in that form, my poetry, but then it had the conscious thought of someone who is going through a magazine in the same way they will enjoy looking through images and the stanzas, just like they look at coffee table books, for example. So the image is there, of course, to sort of fully complement the poem, but it also helps, I think, to carry the poem across to maybe a wider audience beyond poetry.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
I want to share with the audience, the listening audience, that if you've not had an opportunity to see some of the visual work that Alexandra P. has produced, please visit the description again. There's a carousel, and there's 7 or 8 pieces of her work. So again, quite unique, quite unique. Thank you, Alexandra. Wow.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
What was an early experience where you learned that poetic language had power?
Well, I've always been, I think, an innate poet. My favorite lesson at school when I was very little was writing what I did on the weekends and then illustrating it above. So as you can see, I've always illustrated my poems since forever. And later on, when I was in high school, there was a teacher there who told me that I would be a poet because I had a sort of ascetic personality and an ascetic way of behavior. Ascetic being, I was kind of meditative always, and always writing very long essays for literature.
All right.
So, and I had a very sort of let's say that Homo poeticus personality.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
And and I just gradually started writing, and then, like I said, using oil paints to illustrate. The power of the words, the written words, did not exactly dawn on me in that way. I use simple, quite a lot of simple language, because I believe it can be more profound in carrying the message across. I don't believe in too complicated, adorning languages, because then you leave the reader fumbling a little through the dictionary and then wondering what you're trying to say. And because poetry for me is initially energy, it's like a fire that just wants to be expressed. I do try and bring it out in as powerful a mode as I can, which means that I'm going to try and make it understandable by as many people as possible. But this is not to say that when I'm choosing my words that I won't choose some more sophisticated words which have a lot of Greek roots, actually.
All right.
Like epiphany, empiros, empyrean. So empyrean, which means celestial, actually is which means within in ancient Greek, and pyros means fire, so the fire within, empiros. And from there we get empyrean. So yes, I will have words like that, but I do not like to meddle too much with certain forms of poetry which will make the meaning too confusing for the reader. Right. I want it to be quite clear. Yeah. Yeah. Because for me the meaning is not, it's not, like I said in the beginning, it's not in the words, it's in the energy. The message is in the energy. Yeah.
That's such a powerful statement. The message is in the energy.
Yeah.
And you're hoping that the person who witnesses the visuals, views the visuals, that they somehow, I don't know, attach themselves to the energy. You see what I'm saying? How does that part go? Yes.
The visuals are like a very integral part of they are half the poem.
Okay.
Because just as I follow an alliteration, there's a pattern going through the actual poem. I have the same pattern in the visuals, and the visuals are actually the poem too. So they are totally inseparable. That's why I'm always a bit disappointed when I don't actually go to poetry meetings where I cannot share the screen.
Right, I understand.
Yeah,
I understand.
yeah.
Well, I want to thank you for joining me. And for those who are listening, also visit alexandrabooks.info for more of her work. What was it like growing up in a literary family?
It was really quite an experience.
Right.
And when I was right in there, when I was younger, I didn't really appreciate or kind of feel grateful enough for the enormity of the gift that was being bestowed upon me, because I was just I was quite little. But of course, unconsciously and unawares, my father was a poet, my mother was a dancer, so I was it was in my blood. It was just flowing through me. And and we had sort of Greek writers and poets and artists from the entire sort of Greek society that were at our house, but also from other cultures as well. We had Elias Kazan, who was visiting us. There were, and he was kind of bouncing me on his knee. But, he asked if he could take me to Hollywood, and my father was like, no way.
For those who don't know, Ilya Kazan is a director, a very famous director.
Yeah, Greek American.
Academy Awards. Yes, very nice, very nice. So, there's so many questions that I could ask you. But what I'd like to do now is to give you an opportunity to share one of your works.
Okay, I will share Flying 11 because it's Women's Day today. And Flying 11 is based or inspired by the Civiles. Civiles are the Sibyls who were at the Delphic Oracle, and they were channeling the Apollonian light. And then those were the oracles that the ancient Greeks adhered to, because they were direct messages from the Greek gods, let's say. So I think that because it's Women's Day, that there's a lot of women who have those spiritual, let's say, abilities. Flying 11. And all I have is earth sun warming my horizons. Sweet Psyche, tender wings fluttering anxiously. For it is the flight that matters, dragging my aging dreams, persevering in all kinds of weather, reaching heights of Icarus, heights of the supreme, each creation immortalizing mortality, keeping it alive. Creations blowing everywhere, through my eyelashes, through the skies. Flames and eyelashes becoming one. Scorching our weaknesses, guiding lost souls. When all I have is a dandelion pappus to blow, seeds floating through the vortex to the cerulean ethers. For it is the flight that matters, chasing my windy wishes, releasing the nails of mental prisons, drifting breaths of nature, breaths of freedom, each ideal golden energy sent into pure light, ideals blowing everywhere through my heart, through the skies, zephyr and heart becoming one, subduing the ego to service the higher good. When all I have is efflorescence, blooming in my garden, a farmer of senses cultivating the fruit of the gods. For it is the flight that matters, picking my deciduous emotions, turquoise showers reviving withered hopes, chanting priestesses of protection, priestesses of safekeeping, each inspiration soothing upheaval, melodious salvation, inspirations blowing everywhere, through my mind, through the skies, incantations and minds becoming one, blessed with the power of flowing divine energy. When all I have is paper and pencil for some simple words, creating poetry between invisible gods and visible mortals. For it is the flight that matters, rekindling my courageous verse, grateful in defeat and victory, dressing ideas in armor, ideas in silk, each vision a sacred icon in my pilgrimage, visions blowing everywhere through my spirit, through the skies, matter and spirit becoming one, empowering our lives with universal fire. And all we have is the ray of a new dawn in a dewdrop, light triumphing, heralding a new beginning. For it is only the flight that matters. Thank you.
Wow, that was beautiful.
Again, it would be lovely if you could see the visuals. Yeah.
Well, I saw it in my mind. What are some of the predominant themes that you write about, Alexandra?
Well, as you've noticed, lately I'm mostly reading the Flying series because it all started in 2001. I had this very strange epiphany, like I can actually see visions. So it was a very intense channeling that lasted for the entire 2001, the entire year, and I felt like I was with one foot in this world and one foot somewhere else. And that's how the Flying series originally started and then evolved from there. So it just felt like it was, I could see the entire universe in just small, tiny flowers. And there was this incredible feeling of flying just flowing through me. And that's why I always advocate for the fact that anyone can have enlightenment. No one has to follow any kind of religion or teachings. Anyone can have moments of enlightenment themselves, each and every person.
So how would you classify your ability to write poetry? Is it a creative gift or a creative art?
Well, it's both, because it's a gift, because obviously I must have received the gift from my father, who was a writer, and the gift of illustrating, painting and designing. But it's also an art because it requires quite a lot of work. At least on my part, it does. I do. It's not just inspiration. Like I said before, it requires a lot of work from me, from just the initial inspiration to actually to form, to mold the words into a poem which has a beautiful resonance, an uplifting message, and also plenty of esoteric research. So that requires a lot of work, and so the molding of the poem, it really is all three things. It's the inspiration, the research in whatever subject I want to write about. Sometimes it takes me along paths that I could never have imagined, and I just gain all this knowledge. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, it's also the linguistic research of which word I will choose. So it's everything together, the spiritual energy or fire, the fire energy, the linguistic, and the esoteric research with whatever is available, because there is no such thing as settled, let's say, esotericism, or there's no such thing as settled science. Nothing is settled.
Yes.
No. Everything is just flowing, and it's just what flows through us. So, yeah. And then added to that is the design. So you can imagine it takes like 3 months for one poem.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So for you, a statement like what I plan to share is important. Montez Kalu said, poetry is like a canvas. You can paint any picture with it. What do you think about that statement?
Well, yes, it's, of course, you are painting with words, and I'm also painting with designs as well.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Sometimes words can be a limited medium through which the energy can be conveyed, and that's why we also choose the colors and the shapes that will also enhance that energy, and that's why some poets choose music.
Yes. Yes.
So very rightly so, Bob Dylan is a musical poet. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Who are some of the writers, thinkers, human beings who inspire you in your writing?
Later on, not when I was younger. I think when we're young, we don't appreciate our parents enough. But they're there, they have been nurturing us spiritually. It's just that we're not aware of it, and we become fully aware of it, I think, later on. So I think I became fully aware of the vastness of my father's spiritual work when he was gone, and I was rereading the books with a sort of wiser eye. And I have been inspired by my father a lot. Although we don't have the same poetic style at all. In fact, I haven't met anyone with my poetic style or my designing style or my painting style. They have totally just been just created by me. And they're just like, everybody has their own unique style. You have your own very powerful, unique style. So though I wasn't influenced in that way, but just I was influenced and inspired by his spirit and by his words, and also by a lot of the other Greek writers, such as Odysseus Elitis, which I don't know how many of them. He has received the Nobel Prizes for his poetry, but I don't know how many of them are known amongst the American and English poets. Kazantzakis was a huge, huge influence on me. Nikos Kazantzakis has been translated into so many languages. I'm sure you know Zorba the Greek.
Yes.
Yeah,
I was going to ask you about Zorba the Greek.
Yeah,
there's
so
energy
he was
between you and I. I was going to ask you about Zorba the Greek.
Yeah, he was the author of Zorba.
All right.
And he was also the author of Christ Re-Crucified, which was turned into a movie by Mel Gibson. Kazantzakis was actually banned from the Christian church. So he was a Cretan, right? I was greatly, greatly influenced by him from 17 years old. I remember I would devour all his ascetic philosophies and theories, everything.
Any
British, American.
I'm just listening. I'm amazed. Any existential writers?
Existential. Well, I don't really define writers in categories.
Okay.
For me, it's how their energy has touched me. It's how, it's all from everything is energy for me, because I also have these visions, like I said before. Mm-hmm. I saw my sister when she was she was very sick, and I saw her looking like an angel in her astric body. So looking incredibly beautiful. Souls look very beautiful human souls, when they're not in their physical body, and it was a message that she was leaving. I've seen the strangest of visions, like just opening up in front of me, like an island. On an island, I just saw a piece of furniture moving about and plates crashing, and it said huge earthquake in Greece. And 10 days later, we had the earthquake in Kythera. Yes. So I have strange visions like that. Or I'm up on the mountain and I hear a voice saying, you will not always be with this man, but later on this man will come and he will be the one until the end. Not meaning that it's all going to be rosy. and yeah, of course, your soulmate journey is never rosy, you know.
Right, that's true.
Your soulmate takes you through the hardest journeys. I don't know where anyone devised that soulmates are going to be this, wow, this fantastic, joyful ride.
But with a dream like that, a vision like that, your soulmate would stay on edge all the time. So you never know when they leave.
Well, there's the illusion of the whole thing, that I saw him in his perfect state, where he was just flowing with love and kindness, because I saw his soul. But when he came in his physical body and personality, it was more complicated than that.
Well, I appreciate you sharing. So, do you?
It's the energy. It's how I'm touched by the energy of each poet. I really don't care whether an artist or a poet and writer are well known or not. It's how their energy touches me. There's also a lot of ancient Greek poets like Hesiodos, who wrote about how the entire Greek civilization and the entire Greek deity system was born. He's one of the most ancient poets, apart from Homer. And I have read the whole of that, Hesiodos, Theoronia, the birth of the gods. So as you see, I have a lot of Greek influences in my work. Not that I haven't studied the metaphysical poets and Keats and Coleridge and Wordsworth and everyone at university, but I have to say that the biggest part of my influence is from my Greek ancestors.
Are you Hera, Hera, or Athena?
Not. I don't think I'm Hera. I'm or Athena.
Okay.
Yeah, because I would not like to be I cannot be a personification of a deity.
Yes.
However, I might have been close or one of the ancient priestesses that we had in Greece.
Yes.
Women were revered in ancient Greece a lot, and it was only until Christianity came along and the Roman Empire that they actually turned women into slaves, and piercing one's ears was a sign of slavery. In ancient Greece, women never pierced their ears. Mm-hmm. And they always sat wherever they wanted amongst the men. So there was there were a lot of these priestesses in ancient Greece, which mm-hmm. were channeling the divine oracles and generally messages from whatever the Greeks then would consider the divine, but everything is one source anyway, whatever we call it. Mm. And so, I have seen a vision where I'm in the Temple of Poseidon when it was new, and there were orange curtains billowing above the sea, and I seemed to have been dressed in priestess's robes at the time. And I was with another friend who was in this life as well, but we were back there together.
Wow. Please share a point.
And this friend, totally sort of irrelevant, suddenly was writing hieroglyphics. She doesn't know how she was writing hieroglyphics. And an Egyptian saw that, and he was like, how can you do that? How can you write hieroglyphics? She said, I don't know. So maybe we were just having flashes of past lives, yeah.
Does your gift scare you?
No, not at all. It's like really fascinating.
Okay.
It's but there is one thing I have to say. I was very, very introvert ever since I was very little. Mm-hmm. I was extremely introvert to the point of being considered quite weird and crazy. And wouldn't talk a lot, or I really would not talk at all until much later on. And so when I first began my poetry, and through the whole journey of my poetry styles and evolution, and way up until 2022, mm-hmm. I hadn't really shared my poetry a lot. It was only in the beginning of 2022, thanks to Rick Spisak, who is one of my greatest friends. It was thanks to his nudging. He was nudging me a lot. He knew me from years before, and we have shared a lot of our spiritual experiences together. Yes. And he kind of nudged me onto these Zoom platforms. I was very nervous in the beginning, and then I kind of got more used to sharing my poems with everyone. So I was very, very I was very closed inside my magical world, let's say. Maybe it was to protect me or something.
I
don't know. Yeah.
Well, you made a statement earlier about a unique style, and I really took that to heart. But sometimes for me, with this unique style that I have, because I've never seen anyone else with a similar style, mm-hmm. I sometimes feel like I'm on an island by myself. Do you ever feel that way?
No. I think that we just stand in our uniqueness, but together mm-hmm. with the others, because it's the other poets who appreciate our uniqueness, and while their uniqueness is also something that stands out. And if it weren't for the other poets, and generally even also the artists who are beyond the poetry meetings, mm-hmm. if it weren't for them, we would not have anyone to to share our work with.
Okay.
So I mean, like you said, I was very reticent and closed inside my world.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because I was just kind of evolving inside my egg, and I kind of hatched in 2022.
All right. I like that.
Yeah.
You know, I asked you
Yeah.
to share another poem, but let's take a brief break first. And when we come back,
Okay. Yeah.
Alexandra P. All right. We are back. I am Michael Anthony Ingram. I'm here with Alexandra P. And I'm going to ask her to pronounce her last name before this show is over. Alexandra,
Okay.
please share a poem.
Okay, you can just call me Alexandra.
All right.
But actually, PS is one letter in Greek. It's it looks like a tripod, and it's pronounced psi.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's Psaropoulou. But
Okay.
yeah.
We'll talk about it after the show.
Yeah. Okay. You can just say Alexandra.
Oh, Alexandra.
So,
all right.
Yeah.
All right. Please share another poem. Your
This is
fascinating
Flying
work.
13.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Flying 13. My trembling personality, my galloping personality. Let my flaws in, let my virtues in. Battling, balancing between earthly and ideal behavior. Riding with warrior duties, flying with festive ceremonies. Ancestors and descendants, transforming protogenic instinct and barbarity into cultured, refined nobleness. All personalities becoming one. Following the smoke of Ithaca, wayfaring my own boat. Ruins behind, dreams ahead, expectations blending with sirens' songs. Punishments and rewards, repenting and enriching our voyage. Crusading, descending and ascending, scarring and rejuvenating. My trembling mind, my galloping mind, let my fears in, let my visions in, battling, balancing between earthly and ideal reality. Riding past fallen Troy, flying towards sacred temples. Poetry and prophecies, transforming missions and experiences into immortal knowledge and treasures. All minds becoming one. Unadorned words enchanting the fiery dragon of the golden fleece. Angels and dart all ablaze, burning down all molds. Prometheus gifting profound new templates and ideologies. Lighting up matter and spirit, earth and sky. My trembling heart, my galloping heart. Let my sorrows in, let my raptures in. Battling, balancing between earthly and ideal love. Riding through tempestuous waves, flying through moonlit water lilies. silver cocoons transforming hurt and trauma into soft silken chrysalids. 4 hearts becoming one, hovering above earth's wounds, embracing the altar of healing. Mystical muses weaving threads of sweetness, of solace. Resilient yarns guiding us through labyrinths of personal growth. Initiating, elevating each journey of each relationship. My trembling soul, my galloping soul, let my sins in, let my blessings in, battling, balancing between earthly and ideal liberation, riding into dichotomized horizons, flying into cosmic rays, eternal divine laws transforming dark ancient forces into golden propulsion and pulsation, all souls becoming one, lighting my own path, a path unique to me, purgatory sun, holding turmoiled memories, inflexible desires, escaped hopes, rising and setting in the azure of the sea, in the azure of the spirit, surging into eternity with full sails, all my efforts maturing. Our trembling civilizations, our galloping civilizations, let our tribulations in, let our exaltations in, battling, balancing between earthly and ideal humanity. Thank you.
Is a poem letting your guard down? Is writing a poem letting your guard down or building a wall? What do you think?
I think it's neither. I think it's something that will liberate you from walls, and it just helps you to sort of be liberated from a lot of prisons and walls, because not only are you expressing any pain or happiness which is within, but and sharing it with the rest of the world, but it's also forming new worlds. And this is why I said that I'm gaining in knowledge and it's not draining for me, because I have gained so much knowledge from the initial inspiration and spark of my own emotions into incredible channels of knowledge through researching for each poem.
Can a person be called a poet if they don't feel strong emotions?
Yes, of course. It's I mean, it just defines. I mean, someone who writes is called a poet. It doesn't always have to be blazes and chaos. It can be soft sprinkles of dew on petals. It doesn't have always to be strong emotions. I'm Greek, so I have pretty strong emotions.
You know, the word chaos is a very strong word, and it brings up my favorite question to ask.
Yeah.
We live in a tough world, Alexandra.
Yeah.
There's so much happening, the good, the bad, the ugly, as well as the indifferent. What do you view as being the role of a poet in modern day society?
Yes, well, as in every society, the role of the poet is always to extract from the pain and the happiness, from the trials and tribulations, to extract just the essence of the human soul and the collective human soul, I believe, and then hurtle it forward into future visions. That's what I think, is the role of the poet in every society.
Wow.
And so when, in the very beginning, the world is said to have started from the one source, but there were three main, let's say, divinations, and one was chaos, and the other one was eros, and the other one was Gaia. So chaos is part of the creation process of the entire system of Earth and humanity. And this whole duality system of good and bad has existed, I think, throughout time. And many religions have also expressed that, such as Zoroastrians, which were the ancient, Persian religion, Zoroastrian. And of course, a lot of the Greek philosophers as well, and religions. They have chaos as one of the divinities that is part of the creation process.
Wow. I am learning so much. You're like a well full of knowledge. You really are. And I noticed too, when you read your work, it's almost like something else takes over in terms of your voice.
Well, the thing is, I'm very shy. So when I first started reading, I can't do what you do, because you were like, oh, wow, my God. I'm like, my God.
I told you I feel like I'm on an island.
You're like all the Moses put together,
Well, my question was going to be, what do you think is the relationship between your speaking voice and your written voice?
Yes. Oh, it's really totally different. That's so funny that you mentioned that. Well, that's the crazy thing. I'm writing, designing, and creating in a frenzy in a total frenzy of bliss and clapping and whatever else. And then when I appear at the poetry meeting, I have this really calm, monotonous voice.
So no one knows what it took for you to get there.
No.
So
no one knows. Yeah. No one knows what, these frenzied ecstasies I do to. It just comes out like this quiet meditation.
Yes.
And this is partly because I'm very shy. Yeah. And so, yeah. I bombarded Raoul with a lot of Greek songs that I've been listening to.
All right.
So I get very excited, and then I'm in this Greek feast of music, and I'm sending him lots of songs, to listen
to. Some poets claim that a poem is like a living creature. Once it's out there, there's not much you can do to correct or improve it, while others edit meticulously, not leaving much from the original draft form. What is your take on it?
Yeah, that would be Bukowski and me, the two extremes.
Okay.
I actually respect the way anybody wants to, have their poems. It's whatever works for their souls, you see. And for me, it doesn't work like that, because my poems are also very long, and so there's a great sort of meticulous process of alliteration and picking out the right words, which will then sort of echo the pattern and the meanings that repeat themselves and bring out this kind of, let's say, it kind of starts and then it follows a point where it reaches a crescendo, like a climax, a bit like a musical score. And so this, for me, takes a lot of work, a lot of meticulous work. In there is the initial inspiration and fire, but I have to work on it until it's really solid, and I'm sure that I don't want to change anything. And there's a point where I click. There's a clicking point, and I'm like, okay, that's it now. But that takes, months of just doing it and remolding it, and even the slightest tweaking of a word in the end, and then dancing around the room while listening to music, and at the same time I'm reading the poem while dancing around the room like a dervish.
Like a dervish.
And so it's very peculiar sort of process. and then it's the same process with the designs which follow the poem, and I'm also then tweaking the designs and then making sure, not that color there, or change the shape there. So there's a lot of editing, a lot of work there for me.
Sounds like it. Wow.
Yeah.
We've almost reached the end of our poetic journey. Please share one more piece.
Okay. I will share the last in the series until now, which is Flying 15, but I'm already creating Flying 16, so it's an ongoing series. So Flying 15. Keep up with that turquoise lover, so full of love and kindness. Before doubt compromises every fleshed out interaction, keeping viable honey-sweetened utopias. Sinking in the black swamp of remorse, leeches of greed sucking on lust and shame, enduring through our biggest mistakes, emerging into our new biggest improvements, into new consummations of refined affection, earth blooming with polychroming cultivating virtues, olive branch rights, turquoising all plentiful harvests. Keep up with that cleansing, so salving for each wound. Before pus infests every vital feeling and thought, keeping soft every hardened organ. Our hearts tormented by dark red memories, lapsing at the gates of our own perdition, crawling through our narrow, bloodied trenches, discovering new veins of replenishment, new streams of purification, untainted rivers gushing ahead boundlessly, blue-crested sky showers cleansing all defilement. Keep up with that life so deeply longed for, before it kneels at the precipice of its own abyss, keeping zoetic every favourable breeze, burning in the eternal chaos of our own unquenchable inferno. Aspirations melting, courage faltering, glowing through our own embers, bursting into new, cleaner flames of rejuvenation, singing new songs continuing beyond mortal existence. Clear transcendent winds blowing reinforcingly to the ends of the vast earth. Mastery of life surpassing all adversities. Keep up with that oracle so devotedly worshipped, before it fades at the end of the nebulous sky, keeping alight the torch of insight. Our philosophies crucified by false innocence, hiding behind false gods, thrusting through ugly, thorny dogmas, taming new wild wisdoms, new unchained channels of magnificent revelations, lightning-eyed eagles ceaselessly circling, oracles' rays resurrecting all spiritual forces. Hurry, keep up with those flights, so brave and so free, before they explode in the anguish of the universe, keeping high the grace of this sky blue sphere. Thank you.
Wow. You know, Alexandra, they say that to see the world with complete honesty, one should look to comedians, artists, musicians, and poets. What do you think emerges naturally from your work? What emerges from you?
Well, in a way, we really all work in the same way, whether we're expressing ourselves through words, images of any kind, or music. And artists, like I said before, are for me the essence of the human soul and the collective human soul, propelling us towards visions of the future, of how humankind should and will be in the future, because humankind has evolved from very low species of humankind, not apes, but we did have some sort of, I think, similar genes, but nothing like that misconceived Darwin theory. So we have evolved from a very low human species, and we are apparently still in the middle of our cycles, or we are just constantly, just like the universe is expanding outwards, rippling outwards all the time, humankind is still evolving to higher and higher levels of spiritual realization. There is still a lot of evolving to be done. So we are, I think, are coming to an end of this cycle and entering the next, the fifth cycle. And as we evolve spiritually, new, let's say, epiphanies will appear. There is still so much hidden knowledge which is hidden from us because we are not evolved enough to handle it. Sometimes if the power of an atomic bomb is too great, it shouldn't fall into the wrong hands.
Yes.
So in the same way, Kronos, who was given the light in the beginning in ancient Greek mythology, he couldn't handle it, and he ended up creating atrocities, even eating his own children. And so the light was taken from him and given to Zeus, who could handle the light of knowledge properly and wisely. So in the same way, as we evolve, we will gain astric vision, and we will be able to see planets and more evolved beings which were hidden from the naked eye before, because we will be at higher spiritual levels of realization, and we will, of course, have higher levels of behavior in our physical, astric, cognitive, and spiritual bodies, because we are formed by 4 bodies. So we are constantly evolving higher and higher, and artists, poets are the heralders of these times for me.
Very nice. Do you think you were meant to be a poet, Alexandra?
Yes, I do think I was meant to be a poet from a very young age. I was always very ascetic and meditative and reading books all the time. I had the opportunities to do many other things, but it was like my line was cut out for me. I think it kind of just took me along everyone has their calling, so it kind of just evolved on its own. I didn't consciously decide it just happened.
What surprises you most about being a poet?
What surprises me most about being a poet is, well, I wouldn't say that I'm surprised at all.
Okay.
Yeah, because my father was a poet. Everyone around me was a poet. I don't think there was any element of surprise. Yeah, I kind of naturally evolved into. I was kind of born into that. But
okay.
What surprises me are the moments of inspiration and of epiphanies that I have, the moments of enlightenment or the fire burning within, which could be anything. It could just start from just watching the dawn or the sunset, and the paths along which this fire propels me into, the paths of knowledge and of higher spiritual realizations. Yes, it's I would say it's the spiritual realizations and epiphanies that I have had and will have along the way of my creating. And also in the same sense for not only for the spiritual awakenings, but also for the knowledge of many other things, the linguistic knowledge, the mythical knowledge of past civilizations, just generally, the spiritual knowledge and all the other knowledge that I gain along the way, as well as the emotions that it awakens within me.
Nice.
I'll never forget when this series started in 2001, where I just seemed to be living half in this world and half somewhere else.
All right.
There are some great moments of spiritual awakening and enlightenment, which just feel incredible, and that's why I believe that the poets are the tip of the human soul, the collective human soul that are there to uplift and take the human soul higher and higher each time. Although not every poet works in that way, it's just the way that I work in.
Wow. Writers and poets write for a myriad of reasons. Some write primarily to speak a message to their audience. Others write because staying silent is not an option.
Yeah.
My last question to you, why do you write?
It is true what you said. There are poets who have been through very traumatic experiences, and they write because it heals them and it frees them from these prisons in their hearts and in their minds. There are people who write because this is their only way they can express their anger and frustration towards racist and unequal societies.
Yes.
There's still so much inequality towards women and general, So it's just so many categories and groups of people. And so that people write out of anger, out of trauma, for so many reasons. Mm-hmm. But when I write, I just feel that there is this fire within that is just propelling me forward towards expressing the beauty of the world and towards just hurtling my soul through the chaos and through to the other side, where the entire soul can just be purified again. It's been through the experiences of this world, and then the idea just comes out pure at the end.
Wow.
And this is why I write, because wow. I want that final pure idea after it's been through the chaos of this world.
Incredible. How can people stay in touch with you?
Oh, there's a whole lot of. I have my linked tree where I just have everything there on my link tree, and I've kind of just got everything combined. There's my Facebook. You see, the social media is vast, and
yes, it is.
I don't have the time to handle all the Twitters and LinkedIn's and everything. So I usually mainly focus on Facebook and Instagram. Most of my poet friends seem to be there, and and sometimes I tiptoe into TikTok and into Twitter, but I think that's about all I can manage because I'm also a teacher and it's just too much for me to. I also go into the groups on Facebook and listen to I read other poems, and so I would just say Facebook is the best place, or Instagram, to send me a message. And there's my website, but Alexandra Books is on Instagram and Facebook as well. There's Alexandra Books and Alexandra Psaropoulou. And those are the two, honestly, those are the two social media that I use the most because I just don't have the time to go through all of them.
What's next for you? Where do you go from here? Where do you go from here creatively?
Oh, I am continuing, even now as we speak, I am creating Flying 16, and today I had opened the book of mystical teachings of Anne Blavatsky from the Theosophical School. And so the Flying series is still an ongoing series for me. And creatively, I think that I'm just hurtling through the Flying series, and I don't know where it will take me. I'm just following my calling here.
Very nice. Something is telling me to tell you that there's a documentary about you and your work in your future.
Oh, okay.
There's a documentary coming. I can't say when, but something told me to tell you that.
Is that from you, Michael? But with like visuals?
I think so. Something told me. I can't say what it is. To tell you that there's a documentary somewhere in your future.
So we're doing this again, but with the visuals, right?
No. No. I'm not going to make the documentary. Somebody, a crew of people are going to make the documentary. So you never know. I mean,
I am not going to be seen swirling around the room You guys are not going to see that. I'm too shy for that.
Now, this voice didn't tell me whether you turn it down or not. So, if you say no, it's on you.
No, I would say yes, but not for the very private moments of creation. Yeah.
I want to say thank you so much for joining me on a Sunday morning. I can't think of a better way to start my day than listening to you talk about your philosophy on life and your work. Absolutely incredible. I've learned so much.
Thank you so much for having me. And I hope that we will hear you again.
Well, I hope that we hear you again. It's a mutual admiration society because I think you are phenomenal. I really, really do. And I don't say things that I don't mean. I'm too old for that now. So
thank you. We're all unique.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, and I have to say that I'm not exactly grateful to COVID or anything, but not to this whole pandemic, but I am grateful that through the chaos, the Greeks say, "Uden kako amiyes kalo." So always something good comes out of something bad. And in this case, suddenly all the poetry meetings were up on Zoom from all over the world.
Yes, true.
Because they stopped going to their neighborhood pub or whatever, cafe. And suddenly we could all join. And then suddenly there sprung this international community of poets joining their voices unanimously in unison. And I'm just, this has been the most amazing sort of benefit of the lockdowns for me. Yeah. Otherwise, we'd still be stuck just going to our neighboring pub to read.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking, I can't remember where I first witnessed your work, witnessed you sharing your work. Whether it's in Cultivating Voices, the Facebook group, the Zoom group, Cultivating Voices, somewhere I heard.
I think it was Cultivating Voices because I just love Sandy's gatherings.
Yes.
Sandy is
fantastic.
Very special to me.
Yes, she's a beautiful, beautiful person, inside and out.
I know, yes, she's very special. So I think it must have been there. Yeah.
It could have been there, probably so.
Yeah.
But again, I want to thank you for being with me today. And I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you. Same to you. Thank you. We're all one global poetry community now.
Yes, we are. I like that. A global poetry community. Maybe I'll start a group called a Global Poetry Community.
Yes. We're spiritual brothers and sisters.
I like that.
Yeah.
You can call me your brother anytime.
Okay.
Anytime. All right.
Thank you very much. Have a lovely Sunday.
Thank you so much. All right, everyone. We've made it through the end of another program, another fascinating program with Alexandra. Alexandra, please pronounce your last name.
Psaropoulou.
Okay.
Yeah.
You heard that? His name will be up in lights. There'll be a documentary made that Alexandra will probably not participate in. But
no, I just won't be dancing around like a dervish.
Right. That's right. She will not. I'm telling the documentary producers now, she would not be a whirling dervish.
Some moments have to remain private.
All right, everybody. As I share with you every time we're together, let poetry ring somewhere throughout the land. Take care, everyone. Take care, Alexandra.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Quintessential Listening, Poetry Online Radio, is available on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. You can also check out the website at qlpor.com.